Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live. The day after Easter, the sun has risen, and now we're back in the work week. And I have my first tick bite, tick bite of the spring, and I have a little. There's an interesting thing about tick bites versus other bites is that they just itch forever. 2 months sometimes. I don't know. They're just, once you get a tick bite, I mean, it's going to be itching there for a long time. And you can get these. I have a little stick salve in there. It's called the itch eraser, and I thought that was interesting because it fits into Easter in what we've been talking about. Continually looking from different angles every time, and we're talking about the wound that won't heal, the itch that won't erase, and we're talking about and looking at from all different angles ambiguity, the two that is one yet still two. So this morning I was when I sit down to I'll usually write on my Facebook when I announce the Zen Live at 8, and I'll just start riffing out ideas. It's a stream. I just let the stream go. And so many ideas come out. I wonder if I could put them together into a talk and not just ramble on like an idiot. So the few ideas that I did write down before the tick bite took hold of me was it started off with watching Morning Joe, and they're talking about Korea. So you got the North Korea and you got the South Korea. If you remember your history, this little 38th parallel was drawn after World War II when Russia and America divided the Korea Peninsula, which had been occupied by Japan. They divided it into the Cold War ambiguity, the Cold War double bind. So you had the communist system here and the capitalist system here, two C's. Yet the Korean Peninsula, the Korean people are one. So you have the one that is divided into two contradictory systems, and the urge, the life urge of a people is to be one. Just like the life urge of you is to be one individual. Not a schizophrenic, not two, not split personalities, but one. So this, but when the one is split into two, and each half of the two, like the heads and the tail of a coin, want to become the whole coin. There has to be one, not two. God said, let there be one. So this is the imperative of creation, to be one, to be the whole, to be the totality. But when the one is divided into two, and then each one wants to maintain its uniqueness by subduing the other so there can be one. So each tries to eat the other one in order to answer or obey the imperative to be one. And this is the Ouroboros that I keep drawing. The snake devouring its own tail is a symbol of ambiguity, two heads trying to become one coin. You take a coin, there's a heads and a tails, okay? So the coin contains the ambiguity of the heads and the tail, and you can spin it. It's like a battery. Take a battery, you want to use it, make your flashlight go, you stick a battery in it, or a coin, the same thing, and the battery has positive and negative. The battery contains the two opposite forces of nature. Nature comes in pairs, just like on Noah's Ark. So the pair is positive and negative. up, down, in, out, hard, soft, far, near. You see, everything comes as a relative pair of contradictory opposites, yet mutually dependent upon the other. And when we create a container, it generates energy. So North Korea is kind of like a battery. You gotta, we'll say the positive is here and the negative is there. But it wants to be one. So the conflict comes because we're not creating a new one or a battery that contains the positive and the negative. The North wants to be the one by eliminating the South, so it's all North, and the South wants to be one by eliminating the North, so it's all South. This is a civil war, where the head wants both sides of the coin to be head, and the tail wants both sides of the coin to be tail. Well, it can't be that because it has to be one that contains both head and tail. That requires a creative idea. That requires a leap of evolution to a new idea that contains the opposites. And when that container is created through diplomacy, or through, in Zen it's Satori, or in Christianity it would be rebirth, the rebirth of a new being that contains the opposites, that will last for a while. But everything is impermanent. Life evolves. So this too will break up into a positive, a heads and a tail. You see? And so that will demand a new creation that contains the ambiguity. Do you get an idea of that? So this is both on a cosmic level and on a psychological, personal level, because we're all part of life and we're all evolving by integrating the forces of ambiguity in our own nature. So I put Om here because I was writing this up here. Oh, you notice over here, that I've shown you this before, in case you just drop it. The Ouroboros, which is the dragon that devours itself, is an Om. I just noticed this one day when I was drawing it. You can see the Om here, and you complete the Om with this. See, this is Om. So you got the ambiguity here, and this represents the new idea that contains and integrates the ambiguity so that it becomes a life generator. So Om is the original sound in Sanskrit, Om, because it starts O here and goes Om. So all vowels are contained in Om. All sounds are there. So this is the Big Bang. Big Bang is the original sound. But we think it's in the past. But the Big Bang is going off. We can create the Big Bang when we have the original, a single idea that solves the ambiguity or erases the itch in my life, you see? So this Big Bang, this Om, is the Word. In Christianity, in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word. Well, see, we think in time, and so that puts the beginning back in time. But this is not about time. It's about now. So the beginning is now, if you can create it. So you have to create the beginning, not go back in the past. So coming back to Easter, you see how I jump around? You got to hang in there. So you're going back to Easter. We celebrate Easter as an event in the past. But it's really now. It's really the discovery of the integration of the contradictory forces in my life. See, we're all a mix of contradictions. We're all inconsistencies. We're all fragmented in different worlds. I'm a different person at work. I come home, I got a different world at home. I go on a vacation, I'm different. I'm by myself, I'm a different person. I go to a movie, I'm a different person. So we're all these little different worlds, but what integrates it? What creates the one that holds all these different little personalities and desires and beliefs and opinions? And what is it that creates a unified consciousness that when the consciousness is unified, there's no itch, there's no pain or feeling I should be better than I am. I should do more. I've got to go somewhere or do something to be better than I am. That's the itch. That's the itch that won't stop itching. So how do you stop the feeling, the sense, this angst or anxiety that I'm not complete, that I've got to do something? In time, tomorrow, I'll be better, you see. Next week, when the money comes, I'll be okay. So this sense of being okay in the future is the itch. But when the mind heals and becomes one, it's okay now. Now, you can still do things, but you're okay. There's no itch. You are content with yourself and the world as you are right now. You still do stuff, but you don't do it as a reaction, as a hope of being better than you are. So this, we can understand this creative idea, this leap, happens on two levels. If we're looking at the world of form, like North Korea, that would be some kind of a diplomatic solution that both sides could agree on that would solve this eternal conflict of the North and the South. That would be an objective solution. But when it comes to Zen, when it comes to religion, we're interested in an internal solution. And if we try to make it into an external solution, we're missing the mark. And nothing stops the itch, you see. So on a personal level, a subjective level, we're looking at an internal solution instead of an external solution like we would, a diplomatic one, like in something like North Korea. So there is the outside of the cup, which is the world of form, North Korea, the United States, left versus right, that's a civil war, cultural war. All of these form always splits up into two incompatible opposites struggling to be one. But that's external. When it comes to the internal struggle, that's subjective, you see. And that requires a different look. When a spiritual journey begins, when your life takes a shift, it usually happens in the 30s. The first half of life, up to the 30s, you're all externally focused into fixing the world, getting this, getting that, getting relationship, family, business, money, all of this external. But at some point, for some, not everybody, but for some, there's a realization that this will not bring an end to the itch. That no matter how much money or relationships or whatever, nothing stops the itch. So there is a shift then. And a shift happens very dramatically sometimes. An experience, a grief, a loss, you lose everything, you hit rock bottom, addiction, whatever these turning points are, it's going to be a revelation of some kind, and it usually comes in the form of loss, in where everything is destroyed. Shiva comes in as the destroyer. The cup is empty, and a shift turns and you begin to look inward to remove and find to erase the itch. And that's what the spiritual seeking is all about. And then that evolves to the point where you find you're looking in the wrong place there too. So there's two, we discover in the first, we look for to heal the itch in the external world by fixing the world in the first half of life. The second half of life, we begin to look inside to erase the itch. And then there's a third step, and then we discover that the itch isn't there either. And that is, in Zen, called Satori, or awakening. And that is when the itch is erased, when you stop looking for the itch. Because the itch is not in time. Or the itch is looked for, and the eraser is looked for in time, and that's not where the eraser is. So, but that's for another talk. But I hope this kind of like helps integrate. I take a few ideas, and if you go on, if I go on Facebook, and I usually write about this some more and follow the thread because I'm following it with you. This is basically following the Dharma thread, following the Dharma trail of truth. What is the truth here? And this truth that we're looking for, the integrated truth of wholeness that is no longer fighting itself, that integrates all the forces, is through surrender. Is through surrender of letting go of the effort to scratch the itch. And this can only be found through the painful process of discovering that scratching the itch won't remove it. I can scratch this tick book forever, but the scratching will not remove the itch. So, truth is seeing that scratching won't remove the itch. Isn't that interesting? And we're conditioned to believe that scratching will remove it. That fixing it, that getting a new job, that getting something, getting a new itch eraser. People, the whole economy is based on selling itch erasers. You got an itch, this product will remove it. You got an itch, this drug will erase it. You got an itch, so the itch, the itch is what makes our economy go. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that what we need to understand it. The itch is what makes everything go. Anyway, I'm talking too much now, so I'm going to let this go, and I'll see you at martini time. Scratch that itch, see what happens.